This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Hold on to your hats. We are on the grid. Who is going to be king of the late breakers? Excellent onboard shot. Michael Spiegel is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Disaster strikes.
Unglaublich.
Wow, qué pelea.
I'm loving this.
Take your hat off and give him a bow. He's already in the lead and now he can sail off into the sunset.
This is Racing Unleashed.
Hello everyone, really sorry I can't be with you this weekend because I'm still travelling from the USA back to Europe. However, whether you are a Racer League driver or a Challenger League driver, I just wanted to check in and wish you the best of luck racing this weekend. And my buddy Matthew Duffin, he's going to be calling all the action. Be good.
Thank you very much, Dave, for the kind words. And don't worry, we will be good. Good morning, everybody. Hope you are well. I'm Matthew Duffin, your host for today's Challenger League race and action. A lot of stuff coming up in today's programme. A lot of things from the festival at Munich, as well as being in Bern in Switzerland. But we'll get into that a little later on as well. Plenty of action coming up today then. Gear up practice session soon with the knockout qualifying and the race a little later on in the show. But we've been spending a lot of the summer in Munich recently at the Mile Mobility Festival and the Mile Mobility Festival, apologies. And this is what we got up to while we was there. As you can see, one of our simulators there right next to the main entrance for the public to come in and try their best at the Racing Unleashed simulators and the cockpits and the full experience. And as you can see, look, a lovely audience there, big audience. And then it was to a bit of a competition at the Munich Racing Lounge. We see the checkered flag flew and a bit of a celebration on the podium for the top three then, as that was one of our two events that we had over the summer. Another one was in Bern for the Loeb shopping centre place area, yeah, where we had a little shop window open for the public to come in, and not like any shop window, you can come in and walk by and actually take part. As look at it, beautifully done up with all the racing cars and checkered flags around the scenery, and again for the public to step on and to enjoy the racing simulator and try their missed the chicane there, but try their very best at getting around the Monza circuit, it looked like there, and it looked a lot of fun as well in Bern in Switzerland then. In that one, summer discount then for the Swiss racing lounges here in Kemptthal and in Zurich. The 11th of September it ends. You get a 20% discount for every event in the summer ride deal. That is in Zurich and in Kemptthal at this moment. That ends on the 11th of September. You will not want to miss that one. That is an offer you cannot refuse. So make sure that if you are in Kemptthal or in Zurich, stop by and take a look at Racing Unleashed, as well as try and have your hand and have a go at these fantastic simulators. Let me tell you, they are very, very tricky to get used to if you've never been in one before. But like we say, an action-packed weekend, Racer League and Challenger League. Racer League tomorrow, Challenger League today. What a show we have for you here at the most famous Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Very, very tough, tricky track. But here is a little message to Sebastian Hirsch. We wish you a speedy recovery and hope you are back on track soon, as we are live there in Munich. Look, with a little love heart from our Racing Lounge representatives here in Munich to wish Sebastian Hirsch a very, very speedy recovery after a go-karting accident. So all the best to him, and we hope he gets well, and I hope he is watching today. And Sebastian, if you are watching, speedy recovery, my friend, and we look forward to seeing you in the future back in the racing lounges and back here at Racing Unleashed. Coming up then in a little later on, we have Mr. JWW. We have some new videos from our Fit and Fast representatives as well, and we'll get to see a new episode of them just a little later on. But JWW in just a moment will be giving us a track explanation and see if you can pick up on a few mistakes.
Welcome back and welcome to Spa Racing Circuit in Belgium. This is without doubt one of the most famous circuits in the world and one of the drivers' favourites. Now at just over 7 kilometres long, there is a lot for these guys to deal with. Of course, it's iconic for one of the most notorious sets of corners in all of racing, Radion transitioning into Eau Rouge. This is a blind crest, flat out, and it's a real challenge for these guys. Now in this race, it's good about endurance. As I mentioned, it's just over 7 kilometers, but it's also winding its way through some incredibly beautiful scenery. Gorgeous woodlands, undulations, dips, high speed. It's all about the balance of these cars. There's some incredibly fast flowing corners, so these guys are going to be flat out for a good proportion of the lap, with some certain spots having some really heavy braking points. So stay tuned, it's going to get really intense and importantly, really fast.
Radion into Eau Rouge. I think JWW is doing the track backwards there because it's Eau Rouge into Radion. Never mind JWW, I'm sure next month you'll get to find out what it's like to drive the track the right way around. Right, we have a bit of a birthday celebration coming up, and a man who's not qualified for this weekend's Challenger League events, Lorenzo Haider, got knocked out of the qualifying process by his colleague here, Thomas Herzog, one of our fit and fast participants. Knocked Lorenzo Haider out of the qualification process to qualify for the Challenger League this weekend, but did give him a little birthday present as it's his birthday, as he tries to spray the bottle of its finest there then. But he will not be participating this weekend. He gets to celebrate his birthday by watching his brother take to the track a little later on. 4 new drivers on the track today, 4 new names to learn as well, and let me tell you, they are not easy to get through, but we will try our very best for you today, for sure. Lorenzo Haider then will not be here, but let's take a look at what happened at Silverstone last month.
Hold on to everything as the lights go out. It's a reasonable start from Felipe Gonzalez, but I said that Yannick Pletcher could be a danger man from here. Looks like he is being hounded right at the start of this and has lost a place already and goes back down to P5, so that's something like the commentator's curse, isn't it? So Gonzalez from Georgiev, and then Sambra, who I also said would be one to watch, and Sambra P3, and Nico Farland up to P4 as the drivers make their first tentative steps around this huge Silverstone circuit, which comes with such heritage. Here is Felipe Gonzalez, Tiziano to the inside then, and he's going to make this work. So absolutely brilliant move from Tiziano Caponio up into P3. And it's another lap on the record charts with Luca Keller staying in P5 and preventing David Seed moving further up the order. Through farm we go. And now, an opportunity for David Seed. He had to be bold there and had to be committed to it, and he was. And now David Seed has received some of his own medicine back again. And he still stays ahead of Luca Keller and Sinan de Murbas. And this is how Luca Keller is having to defend from Sinan de Murbas. And now he had additional momentum there. But Julian Manchester La Rosa was almost able to take advantage as well. And that's the trouble when you're hunting because you're being hunted at the same time. To the inside now, a little barge on the wheel. As Yannick Pletcher now goes for P3 to the outside of Tiziano Caponio. It's a long way around this turn, but that was a brilliant overtake from Yannick Pletcher. Now Tiziano will be feeling the heat of aggression, if you will, from David Seed, who we're on board with now. And sure enough, David Seed up the inside, almost as if we'd cued that perfectly by script. David Seed goes through on Tiziano Caponio as we are on lap 19 of 20, and here comes David Seed's attack then for the final podium place to the inside of Yannick Pletcher. There is a touch between the two of them. It was another aggressive move from David Seed, and Yannick Pletcher is having none of it. Naff off might have been the expression used by Yannick Pletcher. You're going to have to try harder than that, David Seed, he says. And what did I say about Tiziano Caponio? Just as David Seed goes around, David Seed loses the back end of the car. Such was his quest to try and get by. He lost out the back end of the car, and that relegates him now to P6. The final lap of this race at Silverstone. It all livens up really rather nicely because David Seed has come back here. And David Seed on Tiziano Caponio now, all the way around the outside, is looking for P5. The outside gives him the inside for the next turn. He is in P5. Sinan de Murbas was just so clever. But a commanding victory from Ciro Zambra. Yannick, left, Yannick. Thank you. Right, it is P1 and P3 that we can see here in Zurich being celebrated. And a big thumbs up for Nico Farland then, P2. Team Farland, rules okay.
Well, the celebrations for Yannick Pletcher were short-lived. Following a protest from another driver, he picked up a penalty, which elevated Sinan de Murbas to take P3. You can see there the P with Yannick Pletcher. Also, David Seed and Julian Machas de la Rosa picking up penalties as well. And they were not the only ones. As you can see from our classification, Borjo Zaza, Lorenzo Haider, Hugo Pinto and Valentin Gorgiev also picking up penalties for that result.
And that is what happened at Silverstone. The rankings for the Challenger League, then Sinan de Murbas has a 1-point lead over David Seed, with Ciro Zambra only 10 behind, and it is very tight at the top of this table. Nico Farland on 55 points with Marcus Valverde on 49. Lorenzo Haider down in P6 on 36 points, but not taking part this weekend. Tiziano Caponio on 32 with Yannick Schmidt 4 ahead of Yannick Pletcher, with Thomas Herzog rounding out the top 10. Second page in P11 is Ondrin Kiefer, then 1 point ahead of Julian Machas de la Rosa. Dario Appa on 15 points with Tyler Klausch on 12. Jason Bleissig on 8 points, tied with Fabian Meyer. Antonio Rivoli on 6 with Jason Ferretti, and Michael Fry on 6 points as well. Joshua Hader rounding out the top 20. And to the bottom part, Ronnie Heitinger on 4 points, Borja Zarzo on 2, Stefan Jumli on 2 as well, and Luca Keller bringing up the rear on 1 point. So that's your standings then, and we're already into the gear up session here, the free practice, if you will, at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit here, the famous Spa circuit in the Ardennes Forest. And what a job these drivers are going to have today. 7 kilometres this track, and this is an absolute real roller coaster, because you've got ups, downs, left, right, real tricky corners like El Rouge here, and the drivers have got a lot to do, and unlike the Formula 1, they all seem to be well within track limits up the top of El Rouge and Radion, so that is very nice to see. Or is it Radion El Rouge? We'll have to speak with Mr. JWW and find out. Either way, Marcus Valverde then on his outlap with 6.5 minutes left to go in this session, and whoa, a bit of an incident there, and Valverde, very nice job to avoid that one. Not sporting the purple headband this week, he's gone for a bit of a black headband as he gets a tap up the rear there, and good morning to Marcus Valverde from behind. Well, he won't be wanting that tapping in the race. Was that Nico Farland that's just giving the tap up the rear? I think it may have been. Either way, these drivers, very tricky task for them here at Spa today. Here is Nico Farland in our racing lounge in Munich, fully focused, and there's another driver there, obligated to just get out of the way and make sure that he wants his clear run as possible, and that's giving Nico Farland the room he needs to do. And luckily enough for Nico Farland, it is gear up session and not the race, otherwise he could have been looking at a bit of a penalty there maybe. Then here is Borja Zarzo then in Madrid, and he is fully focused on the task ahead of gear up. Final preparations for the drivers, bit of practice in the cockpits and in the cars, a bit of a warm-up session for them, get their bodies loose and make sure that they are ready to go for the knockout qualifying in just a moment. But we saw the tables a little earlier on. Sinan de Murbas, David Seed and Ciro Zambra, 10 points separate them top 3, and it's going to be fascinating going into these final couple of races then as to who's going to do what, because David Seed had a strong grip on this, let's not forget, a couple of races ago on this championship, and it's just started to slip away from him in these last few rounds then. Here is one of the new drivers, Sven Kusnel. I do believe that is pronounced right. Apologies if it isn't, but Sven here coming up to El Rouge. And what can he do on his first outing today? One of 4 drivers making their first starts here at Racing Unleashed this weekend. And there he is, look, in car. And he's looking calm as well, isn't he? As he's fully aware of what he got to do, and he gets out the way nicely for the driver to come past. And just gets a bit of slipstream as they come down the end of the Camel straight into Lecombe's chicane then. Famously, where Michael Schumacher and Mika Hakkinen, remember them splitting either side of Riccardo Zonta for Mika Hakkinen to take the lead over that race back in '97, I do believe it was. As here is another new driver on the grid, David Rosler, I do believe again, in Munich. Orange cockpit, orange car. Near enough, an orange t-shirt. He's gone full orange today, and he's really determined. Getting it through the middle sector here at Spa with 4 minutes left of the gear up session in these Formula Hybrid 2022 Evo cars in the fantastic Racing Unleashed liveries then. It's David Rosler now coming towards the back end of the lap and towards the chicane then, the final couple of corners. And a very tricky chicane this. You've got to absolutely get this right, because the run out the chicane is very important, and you will see that in the knockout qualifying session. Another new driver, Sylvain Preus, out there on the track. And again, apologies if the pronunciation is wrong. We will get there for the race at least. Oh, a spinning car right across the front of Preus there, coming through the chicane. And that's what I mean about you've got to get that chicane exit bang on, because you just lose a lot of momentum down to Lecombe turn 1, and you don't want to be on the back end of a launch from up the inside. Hopefully not from a Romain Grosjean though. Remember that from the start line a few years back in his Lotus days. Wiped out half the grid in that one. Hopefully we don't see none of that today. He has here is Ciro Zambra then, the man who took a win last time out. And what can he do it again? 10 points off the championship lead in Zurich. He is going to be up for this one. Took a win last time out, and it was a very, very good win as well for Ciro Zambra, and he's going to want to make sure that that momentum stays with him, and that role he's on at the moment sticks in the flow. Sinan Demirbas, who got promoted to P3, he's now leading this championship, and will want to make sure that he can keep David Seed and Ciro Zambra well within his sights, because Sinan Demirbas here has a lot to hang on to now. He's no longer the hunter, he's the hunted, and he really needs to make sure that he can do the best job possible here at Spa this afternoon. Hugo Pinto then, what can he do? As at lap time starting to come in, or the classifications are now showing up, and it is Marcus Valverde who is the quickest driver, but only 0.02 of a second quicker than Zambra. And there is Hugo Pinto, who has a big spin at the chicane, and the first part of the chicane is slightly off camber, and it's very easy to make a mistake and lose the rear end as he did there, and again compromising that run, and that can lose you a lot of time and a lot of positions in that knockout qualifying and in that race in particular. Julian Matías de la Rosa then coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion down the Camel straight now, and again, fully focused and knows the task he's got ahead. Sharp on the brakes. You see the seatbelts there really pulling tight on De La Rosa's torso there, really pulling him into the seat. And that's what these cockpits and these simulators here at Race Unleashed are all about, to give you as much of a realistic feel. There's an apex there somewhere, Julian. You might want to find that one for the knockout qualifying session. As Thomas Herzog now then, he's coming through into the middle part of the lap. Currently not got a lap time on the classification so far, but it's a second separating the top 6 with Matías de la Rosa in that P6 spot. Here is Thomas Herzog here in Kemptol. Seen Thomas this morning doing his warm-ups, his stretches, getting loose and limber, ready to climb into the cockpit. And just look at that determined look on his face. He is wanting to pull out all the stops today. As Tyler Clausen coming towards the chicane at the very end. Get this right, you've really got to nail the braking zone here, and that's just a little late. Manages to get it stopped in on the apex, gets the second part now on the power, and away he goes. And that's not a bad run there. brake just a little late, and he nearly went deep at the first part of the chicane, but managed to get it stopped. Now, only one of the Hayder brothers here today, and Joshua Hayder here. And he's fully focused on the job he's got to do. Into the chicane, bang on, clip the apex, get the second apex right as well. Now on the power, and away down the start straight you go. And you can really nail this then, down into turn one. And if you're close enough in the race or in the knockout qualifying, that little send it manoeuvre up the inside could be the one that Joshua Hayder may favour. Here's Georgiev then, just crosses the line, stays P40, in fact no, goes to P11. Apologies on the timing screen as he comes into Lecombs now. Not Lecombe, into Le Source, sorry. And he's got another car just in front, and he'll get one more lap in. The drivers are then on their final laps and their final preparations. There was a driver just hitting the wall in front of Georgiev. They're just clipping the wall. Obviously the pit lane used more for the 24-hour racing at Spa. That's the gear up session at and the drivers will all come to the end of that one and get ready now for the knockout qualifying. The boxing gloves will go on, the bell will ring shortly, and the knockout qualifying will begin then. Spa, very, very famous circuit, very, very long circuit, and you can get a lot right, you can get a lot wrong, all in one lap. So the drivers today and tomorrow have got to fully focus and fully get ready for what they have to do this weekend. And that little gear up session there, the little 10 minutes they get of free practice, will really help them get into a rhythm, get into a groove ahead of the knockout qualifying. We'll bring you the grid shortly as well of what the lineup will be for the start of the knockout qualifying, which will obviously then give us our grid for the race a little later on. Now, the knockout qualifying, just about to get to this, what we are doing today is we normally do 2 guarded laps. What we are doing today is just 1 guarded lap. So lap 1 will be a lap behind the safety car. No overtaking is allowed. You will line up in reverse championship order, follow the safety car. Lap 2 is a guarded lap. So it is 1 racing lap where the drivers are allowed to overtake each other and fight for positions. Normally we have the 2, because this track is 7 kilometres long, we're having 1 guarded lap. So lap 3, at the end of lap 3, we will start losing the bottom 2 drivers at the end of lap 3 onwards until we get to our final 2 for the battle for pole position in this one. So lap 3, lap 4, lap 5 and so on, we will lose the bottom 2 drivers who are at the bottom of that ranking. So the drivers this week, 1 lap. Prize money then for the Challenger League. You can win yourself 500 Swiss francs for a race win, all the way down to 10 Swiss francs for a top 10 finish if you get it done today. In terms of the season, and this is what Sinan Demirbas is going to be looking at, 2,500 Swiss francs in your back pocket if you can win that championship. Again, all the way down to 50 Swiss francs in the Challenger League. And the Race League, you see there to the right hand side, 3,500 for a race win, down to 200 for a top 10 finish, and 15,000 Swiss francs for a championship win, all the way down to 750 if you finish 10th in championship. And there might be one man tomorrow, we'll get into that a little bit, who will be looking at 15,000 Swiss francs, but we'll get to that tomorrow. Battle for Glory then is December the 11th, Challenger and Racer League. We still do not know this circuit. They will not disclose it. They will not give us any information. They are keeping their cards very close to their chest. December the 11th, though, the Battle for Glory. Watch it live here, Challenger and Racer League. And that is the prize money for the Battle for Glory. Challenger League will get 1,000 Swiss francs for a win, 500 for second place, 400 for third, and then all the way down to 20 Swiss francs for 10th place. And the Race League will get 7,000 Swiss francs for a win, all the way down to 400 for finishing top 10 here then at Racing Unleashed. That is the Battle for Glory, 11th of December, and we do not know where it is going to be held. Here then is a little run through of what leagues we hold. We hold the Racer League, which is a qualification through performance based on the racing calendar, as is the Challenger League, but registration is open for the Challenger League. As we've seen this week, no Lorenzo Hyder, but we have 4 new drivers all taking part here at Spa. That's because qualified for it. We also do a fun league, and it is pretty self-explanatory. It's in the name. It is a fun league. Any time, regardless of the calendar, open to all and hosted by one individual lounge. For a group of friends, family, work colleagues, whatever it is, a fun league to take part in. And let me tell you, please look into it, because it is very fun, and the fantastic facilities here at Racing Unleashed to take part in then. And to have your chance at being the next Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen, if you really fancied your chance at trying to emulate one of them drivers, maybe a Michael Schumacher or an Ayrton Senna as well then. So as the drivers then step out the cockpits, have a bit of a drink and get ready for the knockout qualifying. This is the grid for the qualifying. Sven Kusnel will be on pole position with Tobias Meyer. Ruiz Oscar will be in P3. David Rusler in 4th. Sylvan Preuss will be in 5th. Hugo Pinto with Valentin Georgiev in P8. P9 Ostrid Vollenweider. P10 Borja Zarzo. Joshua Hayder then in P11 with Mikael Fry, Fabian Meyer, Tyler Klausch, Julian Macias, De La Rocha behind them, Andrin Kiefer, Thomas Herzog, Tiziano Caponio, Marcus Valverde 19th and Nico Farland P20. 21st for Ciro Zambra, 22nd for David Seed, and Sinan de Burbas will be Sinan de Burbas will be 22nd. Sorry, didn't count the safety car, did I? So missed P1 for the safety car. As they're ready then, on the grid, it is lights out here at Spa, and the drivers will start their 1 lap behind the safety car. No overtaking possible as we get into this one. So the drivers have a lap, prepare the tyres, get them up to temperature, get the brakes exactly where you need them to be, get in a place where you exactly are. And really now, mentally, get yourself in that zone that race drivers talk about. Be in that zone, get in that bubble and get yourself ready, because the minute that safety car pulls off, at the end of the lap, you are underway and will get 1 guarded lap, and you'll get 1 chance to really attack other drivers. Not the 2 that we normally get, the 1 chance to really attack other drivers and to really make sure that you can make up as many positions. For David Seed, Sinan de Burbas and Ciro Zambra, the 3 title challengers, or the 3 main title challengers should I say, they will really want to have a good knockout qualifying and get themselves up as high as possible to get as best grid position they can in this race. If you all knew, this is the way that qualifying works, so drivers will be knocked out. At the end of lap 3, drivers will be knocked out. The bottom 2 drivers in the classifications will be knocked out, and that will then make our grid order for the race a little later on. As the drivers are making their way towards the middle sector of the lap. And they are really going to want to make sure that they can do the best they can then. The Formula Hybrid X 2022 Evo cars here, and a brilliant car, brilliant, absolutely fantastic, stuck to the road unless you push too hard. As you can see, the drivers just weaving in and out left and right, making sure their tyres are up to temperature. Oh, careful there, Tiziano, just into the back of Thomas Herzog there then. But this is just a formation lap, if you will, a warm-up lap, things up to temperature, so that shouldn't go against him in this one then. Thomas Herzog, it'll be a man to keep an eye on, you feel, in this qualifying. What can the 4 newbies do, the 4 debutants, all starting in the front 4 spaces? Sven Krusel, Tobias Meyer, Oscar Ruiz, David Rusler and Sylvan Preuss, top 5, sorry. Can they get a good knockout qualifying and really try and impact and get in the way of the title challengers? Obviously they're going to want to play for pride and play for honour and get themselves a race winner, a podium and a pole position under their belt. But here we go then, the safety car pulls into the pits and we are green and go for this knockout qualifying. Now the guarded lap comes up this time around. This is where the drivers can really attack each other and really make sure they give it their everything to make up as many positions, because you do not want to be in that bottom 2 come the end of the next lap. So everybody will be safe for this lap and the next lap. It's the end of lap 3 where drivers will start to be eliminated. This is then something that is going to be an absolute cracking battle, as Ruiz Oscar then going right up the inside into Lecombs, but can't get the job done. And Tobias Meyer then keeping hold of that second place. Sinan de Burbas and David Seed and Ciro Zambra have already made up several positions here and are already up to 16th, 17th and 18th, so they've had an absolute cracking start on this first guarded lap here, as Sven Knusel out front has left the two P2 and P3 at this moment in time. He's a second ahead of second place. So Nico Forland gains another place over Marcus Valverde, and they're all gaining a few places over Tiziano Caponio there, who's dropping down the standings. Here is Nico Forland then, bit of a gap to the car in front, but has plenty of time at the moment. He's sat in 13th place, and he knows that he's got a couple of laps still before his knockout comes his way, and he is doing a fantastic job at trying to get through the pack. David Seed then, the man who's got some pressure on him now. He's made a few mistakes in the last couple of races. Can he get it right tonight? As I have lost all picture. I can't bring anything to you at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Everything has just gone off. So apologies at the moment. I cannot tell you what is happening. Everything has just gone blank. Black screens on the laptop and the monitor at the moment. And welcome back then. Apologies for that one. I don't think you lost picture, but we did on our end. We are back though here, and we have lost a couple of drivers at the moment. Joshua Hader though has had a problem, and he's all the way down in P20 here at this moment in time, with Tiziano Caponio down in 19th place as well. And Joshua Hader and Tiziano Caponio, trying to go round the outside of Vollenweider, and has done now. Joshua Hader can see the 2 places he needs to make up to not be eliminated from qualifying early on in this race. As here he comes then down into the middle sector for Joshua Hader here, looking round the outside, and I tell you what, he's going to force the door open, and he barges the door down and makes sure he gets through there, and he now needs that one more place of Tiziano Caponio to make up if he is to stay in this qualifying session then. So Vollenweider down into P20 he is, and he will potentially be eliminated from this qualifying. Ciro Zambra up in 8th place, he's making some good places. There is Joshua Hader, you see, focused and determined. There's a couple of cars just in front, but this lap is ending very soon. 2 cars side by side into the chicane. If they make contact, Joshua could be in a fantastic position. There is Nico Forland's view back of Joshua Hader, but it isn't going to be enough for Joshua Hader or Astrid Vollenweider then. They will both be eliminated from this qualifying knockout session. As Tiziano Caponio now needs to make sure he can make up a few places to keep him in this qualifying session. As Caponio right on the back of Tyler Klausch in this race. He's no longer on the back, he's pulled out on the Kemmel Straight and is having a look here round the outside as they come down towards Le Combes. Here in Kemptol, late on the brake as you dare, round the outside. You'll have the inside for the second part of it. Job done, easy as you like. Next target in front of him is Borja Zazo then, and he's going to, again, he's got half a lap to gain 0.6 of a second and to make sure that he can really put the pressure on him and make him sweat a little bit in Madrid. And so Borja Zazo then, can he keep Caponio behind him? And can he make sure that he stays in front and stays at least for another lap to maybe start P16 on the grid in this one then? Tiziano Caponio, though, has gained a couple of tenths here and he's really getting on the back of Borja Zazo. The lap again, though, is just running out and it's just coming to an end for Tiziano Caponio. There you see in the background, and you get the sense that unless he's got to really gain some time here and really make up some ground, but he's not able to at the moment. Fabian Mayer then, he's on the back of Mikael Frey as well, and he's got to make sure that he can get another place because he will survive this lap, but the next lap he's going to be in a bit of bother. Is Fabian Mayer, as at Caponio and Tyler Klausch we lose from this knockout session here then. So Fabian Mayer and Borja Zazo, they've got pressure now to make up some places, but for Borja Zazo, he's a bit behind Mayer and a further 0.8 of a second behind Mikael Frey in front of him. So you get the sense for Zazo, it's about getting P16 and he held on to it, and that could be where he starts. David Seed's got up to P11, so he's not made as much progress as Sinan de Mirbas or Ciro Zambra then in this one. But Mayer just losing a couple of tenths. There is David Seed at the moment. A bit of distance to the cars in front, has a few cars on the back of him, and knows what he's got to do to make up some places. Marcus Valverde, P10 on the back of Sinan de Mirbas, and these are the cars, this is the group of cars that's in front of David Seed, and these are the guys that David Seed will hope that have a little bit of trouble, or running to a bit of bother should I say, because David Seed is going to want to make sure that he gets ahead of his championship competitors, and they're all sat in front of him at the moment, so that's not where he'll want to. Obviously no points in knockout, but it's all about the race, and a good qualifying position could help you. Borja Zazo then is a bit too far back to get a job done here, and that is going to be a P16 for him, but nonetheless 16 out of 22 is not a bad qualifier for Borja Zazo. And what can he do in the race? Will he be able to make up some more places in there then? On the back of Sinan de Mirbas, there is Marcus Valverde and David Seed doing their best laps, as did Thomas Herzog, but we have lost Fabian Mayer and Borja Zazo then. So they are out of this knockout qualifying. Obviously everything's preliminary at the moment. The race control will double check everything before we get a final classification to you then. Now Matthias De La Rosa and Thomas Herzog are two that are under pressure and need to gain a bit of time, as Valverde, Sinan de Mirbas and Ciro Zambra, in fact De Mirbas and Zambra then are side by side and have swapped positions, and so Sinan de Mirbas has got himself ahead of Ciro Zambra, so the championship leader is ahead of all his championship rivals and exactly in a position that he wants to be in going into the race a little later on. Obviously still time for these drivers to change places, swap places and see what they can do. It's all about, though, Mikael Frey and Matthias De La Rosa. Here is Ciro Zambra, and you see, just in the background, in his rearview mirror, David Seed and Valverde having a little squabble, while Zambra, though, is fully concentrated on Sinan de Mirbas and Georgiev and Pinto in front of him. A queue of cars here at Spa really wanting to get on with this one, and Valverde putting the pressure on Zambra now. And this is what we love about knockout qualifying, is it's like a sprint race. All wrapped up in one. as Nico Forlan gets himself up into P4, and Valverde has got himself ahead of Ciro Zambra here then. A bit of a tap on the rear there, was it, from Zambra on Valverde, and into the chicane, and Ciro Zambra launches one up the inside and says, I'm going to have this place, and bit of wheel bashing there between the two of them, and they all get through. But look at this, David Seed wants to make sure that he makes it 3 wide coming into La Source. And I tell you what, he is good to, up the inside, and Valverde's been hung out to dry over the curb, and Ciro Zambra still bouncing off of the wheels of his competitors. Now into El Rouge. I tell you what, you're a brave set of boys side by side, and David Seed backs out of that one before El Rouge. I actually missed who we lost from qualifying. I do apologise. As we was watching the great entertainment, Thomas Herzog then down in 12th. He's a bit of time, 1.2 off the back of this battle between David Seed, Ciro Zambra and Valverde, and one of these three are going to be eliminated, and Valverde there, a little wiggle coming through Lecom, and that is a huge moment for Ciro Zambra, and that could put to end his qualifying session and outside the top 10 for this race later on. And Ciro Zambra, he's not lost too much time. There is still time he can make up, and is he just pushing a little too hard that he made a few mistakes? That, though, has given David Seed an absolute fantastic opportunity. Sinan Demirbas has passed Georgiev and Pinto and is up into P6. So for Sinan Demirbas, the championship leader, he is absolutely flying in this knockout qualifying session. David Seed has now got himself ahead of Valentin Georgiev as well. Here then, Ciro Zambra on the back of Thomas Herzog. He's 6/10 off the back of Valverde. You get the sense that that one is done unless a mistake happens from Valverde. But for Ciro Zambra, P11 over P12 will be nice, and I'm sure he'll want to make sure that he has an extra position. He's going to have a look. He's going round the outside, 2 wheels on the curb. He's going to have the inside line for the chicane at the end. Marcus Valverde's got himself ahead of Georgiev, and Thomas Herzog there, probably sensibly, stays behind. It's only one position lost. P12 for Herzog then, and Ciro Zambra will start P11. We're now into then the top 10, and it is Valentin Georgiev and Marcus Valverde who have got some time to make up over Hugo Pinto, and again a bit of a train of cars still as Ciro Zambra P11, Georgiev 7/10 off the back of Valverde. Valverde 3/10 of a second off the back of Pinto, and here is Valentin Georgiev. Marcus Valverde then gets past Hugo Pinto into Lecon. Oh, he's had a bit of a wiggle, and this could allow Pinto to come back at him, and they're side by side. No, Valverde keeps hold of that one. Now they're on the back of Thomas Meyer, who he must have had a problem. Sorry, Tobias Meyer, who he must have had a problem somewhere, because he's dropped down the order and is now down in P8. So Valverde really picking up a couple of places there, as did David Seed. For Georgiev and Pinto, though, a final chance maybe to stay in this knockout qualifying and to get one more lap in an extra place. For Georgiev, he is right on the back on the timing screens of Tobias Meyer. Valverde, though, is that the best he's going to do? 1.5 off the back. Here is Tobias Meyer looking back at Georgiev and Pinto, having a great squabble as Nico Forlan moves into second place now. And for Tobias Meyer here, he's looking at this battle behind and thinking, if these two continue to squabble, I may get one last chance here. As at Forlan still squabbling for P2, but here comes Georgiev, launches one up the inside and a big shunt up the rear. Pinto on the back of Meyer. And I'm sure Race Control are going to want to take a look at that, because he was a day late and $1 short on the brakes into the chicane. Georgiev, though, as clean as a whistle through. And did Pinto give Meyer that place back, I wonder? Either way, Georgiev will get one final lap in. Pinto and Meyer, I'm sure that one will be looked at by Race Control. As there is Pinto taking the gloves off and just checking with everybody around him. Marcus Valverde then 1.5 seconds to his next challenger, which is Sinan Demirbas and David Seed, but them two are having a great squabble out front. That has meant that Valverde has gained some immense time over these two, and he's now all of a sudden within 0.3 of a second. For Georgiev, it looks like the end of his knockout qualifying. Here, though, for Marcus Valverde. He's been given a lifeline by Ciro Zamba and David Seed having a battle, and he's now on the back of this train. That is also David Rousler in front of these three as well, currently sat in P4. So for Sinan Demirbas, he's ahead of his championship contenders at the moment, but David Seed and Marcus Valverde are coming right at him and are really going to want to knock the door down and make sure they can get ahead of Sinan Demirbas, in this one. There is David Seed, and he's got to think of making a move. He's fine this lap as long as Valverde doesn't get past. And here comes David Seed having a look on Sinan Demirbas. Can't get through though because Demirbas is having a look at Rousler then. And David Seed's now going to look up the inside of Rousler as well at the chicane. That isn't going to work for him. Here comes Marcus Valverde though. David Seed very wide. And who's going to get knocked out here? Georgiev will be eliminated, and I think Valverde we will lose as well. David Seed and Rousler there just hung on for their position. So David Seed's got past as well. I do believe Valverde is out this session and got in the way there of Rousler a little bit. So compromising his run up Eau Rouge. Then you see in the background he's having a look on David Seed, and that slipstream is working in great effect. And here comes David Rousler, then the battles of the Davids. And it's David Seed who's going to try and hang it around the outside. Gives that one back. And a big snap and a big spin there. And that is David Rousler's session come to an end, you'd imagine. It's going to take a big off from two drivers to get through qualifying. But P6 on his first outing here at Racing Unleashed. That is not bad at all for him. And I'm sure he will take that. David Seed though, 1.8 now off the back of Sinan Demirbas, and the top six very spread out at the moment. Nico Farland trying to make as big a dent into Oscar Ruiz's time. Here is Sinan Demirbas. No traffic in front. Well, there is there, but it's away in front. David Seed charging behind. And Demirbas has 2.7 seconds then to make up over Sven Knusel in this session. But I do feel like we're going to lose the two Davids. David Seed and David Rousler then are going to be the two that we miss out or lose here. As Oscar actually just pumps in his fastest time of this session. And for Farland, couldn't match him. So 6.7 is the gap. And here is Sven Knusel in calm. And currently sat in a very, very good position here in terms of his first outing. Again, just having a look, the wide berth of the monitors, the screens that the drivers look at, so they'll be checking just to make sure who's about. Sinan Demirbas, 2.1 seconds behind Knusel. A 7 kilometre length track here, so it is a long lap. But 2.1 seconds you feel is a lot of time to make up. It's going to require a bit of a mistake. Farland brought the gap down a couple of tenths to the leader, and Demirbas is coming here. I tell you what, a car between Demirbas and David Seed would make things interesting, wouldn't it, going into the race a little later on. Nico Farland then just cannot make a dent on Oscar Ruiz's time out front. He is absolutely flying here in Madrid. I've got a feeling that I've been saying his name the wrong way around. I've got that wrote down in front of me from the printer, Oscar Ruiz. That said Ruiz Oscar, so we'll call him Ruiz Oscar. We'll go with what the simulator says. So for Ruiz, he's absolutely flying at the minute. Sinan Demirbas though is gaining and gaining and gaining here, but you just feel it was too much work. Over 2 seconds he had to gain in a lap. You just feel it's too much work for him to do, and he can see the car in the distance, but he kind of knows, you kind of can tell by the expression on his face that it's just too much of a job for a P3. It would have been, I'm sure he would have loved to have put a car between himself and David Seed, but for Sinan Demirbas here, it will be P4. And for Sven Knusel, well, what a great outing to start inside the top three as Nico Farland pumps in his best time of the session, and Sinan Demirbas will be P4, Sven Knusel will be P3. Provisionally at the moment. Obviously race control will double check everything and make sure everything is above board then. So we're down then to the final two, and it's Nico Farland versus Ruiz Oscar here. and Forland has way too much to do. 2 seconds for Sinan Demirbas was a big ask. This man's got near enough 6 seconds to find. So it's going to take a mistake from the current leader, but I'm sure Nico Forland will take a P2, and a front row start will be something that he'll be delighted with, no doubt. What this is for these two drivers here is they're not close enough to battle for that pole position, but they are close enough to really push the car this lap. They know this is pretty much what's going to happen. Well, Nico Forland can. Ruiz Oscar doesn't want to push the car too much and have a bit of a mistake. They can really explore the lengths of the circuit and make sure they can find what they need to do in the race. They've had a great rhythm, and I tell you what, for Ruiz Oscar, he started this session, this knockout qualifying session, P3, so he's taken the lead. Nico Forland started, where is he on my list? Started all the way down in 19th place, so he's really came through the pack here to get to P2. But it is going to be P2 for Nico Forland, and for this man Ruiz Oscar, his first outing here at Racing Unleashed in the Madrid Lounge, and it will be a provisional pole position. A very happy man, a punch of the air. P1, he says. P1 indeed, my friend. A fantastic qualifying session for you. And for Nico Forland, a P2 in this session as well. He will be delighted with that, I am sure. Race control, though, will double check everything over there. Already starting to look, I can see from my shoulder. A high five here and there from the Team Forland. And that was a fantastic knockout qualifying session then, and we will bring you a full classified list when race control have double checked everything and gone through everything, and we can make sure that that is all above board and ready to go for the race then. So knockout qualifying done. We'll get an interview with the pole sitter when it is confirmed that he is the pole sitter a little later on momentarily as well. What a knockout qualifying. Apologies for the picture loss on our end earlier on in this session. But what a qualifying for David Seed. Sinan Demirbas getting inside that top 6. Fantastic for them. For Nico Forland from 19th to P2. An absolutely fantastic job for him. And for the debutant, Ruiz Oscar, P1 provisionally at the moment. Everything will be looked at by our race control team, and they are thoroughly working on everything. I can see below me on everything. Here's what happened though. There's Joshua Hader, got a bit of a tap, tapped someone on the rear and spun them round at the chicane. Andrin Kaifer then at turn 1. Wow, right into the back of the car in front, who then domino effect into the car in front of him. There you see it above, and I tell you what, the black and blue car was very lucky to not get tapped in that. Here's Joshua Hader, and is this what led to his mistake? A tap on the car in front, and look at this, Tiziano Caponio, late lunge at the chicane, and he nearly made it stick. The yellow car off at the side, and then round goes Tiziano Caponio and has to sit. Oh, don't move there. Oh, you feel that's a penalty. Joshua Hader looking up the inside of the purple car and got spun around. You feel that it was a late move, but the door was open for Joshua Hader there, and I'm sure that he's going to want to make sure that race control take a very, very thorough look at that one. In this one then, as we are ready to get into, I do believe someone's just came in the channel, so I think we have got the interview with Ruiz Oscar. Then no, we've just lost him, so I think we're going to just wait a moment to get them in for the pole position interview. Oh, what a knockout session. I tell you what, us here at Racing Unleashed, we love knockout qualifying because it brings you entertainment like that you don't get in a normal qualifying session.
Sorry.
As I believe now we've got Ruiz Oscar in with us. Ruiz, well done on pole position, my friend. How was that one?
Thanks a lot. It's a little bit hard because here there are a lot of hot, and it is the first time that I compete here. But yes, I'm very happy. I'm trying to focus on the first lap. I see that another driver go at all the speed in the second corner, but I can avoid him. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, you've got to be very happy with that. Your first outing here at Racing Unleashed and a front row start, a P1 start.
Yes.
That is something that you can take into this race, a bit of confidence.
Yes, I see that the second position have a lot of pace. It's been hard for me to be first in the first lap, but I could try. Always clean, and it's nice to try this to another caster like Borja to then comment this. So it's a good opportunity.
And your first outing here, what do you make of it at Racing Unleashed? Obviously, getting used to the simulators. What do you make of it? What do you think of it?
I love this. I always that I can stay here. I always try a little. I love the belt push, and yes, always that I stay here. It's an opportunity to be fun.
So going into the race a little later on, you start P1. What can you do? What's your task?
Yes, I try in the warm up. I try a little to try to the start. I think that I have the point, but I don't know. And at the first corner, I try to maintain the first position, but I think that it's a little bit hard. So my objective is to stay in the track and to survive to the last lap.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck, Ruiz. Well done on pole position, and best of luck a little later on. Hope to speak to you later.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
A very, very happy pole sitter there then, and a man that will be delighted to start on the front row of the grid and make sure that he can get as good a start as possible in the race a little later on, and we'll bring you that all live coming up this afternoon. What a qualifying session, though, from everybody there. And on his first appearance, he can be very happy with what he did in this one. Then there is race control. And as you can see, they are checking everything over. And they are making sure that everything is above board and is the correct decision going into the start of this race. Because every appeal, opportunity of a steward decision that needs to come in, they need to get right to make sure that the grid is accurate for the race. And it is fair for the drivers who got caught up in collisions. Then they are busy people down at race control, let me tell you. And just below me, you can see them all working very hard. There you see the racing lounge here in Kemptol, and our race control working very hard to make sure that they can get everything correct for the drivers, all 22 of them, ahead of the start of this race. A few unhappy drivers, a lot of happy drivers, and you have to say that Sinan Demirbas has to be one of the happier drivers, being ahead of his championship rivals and being ahead in that championship, meaning that he can try and defend from them, try and extend his championship lead in the race later on, and really work towards that. You can just see the monitors there for race control. They're just looking at it. That is Munich. And the drivers just having a little debrief. Tribute to Sebastian Hirsch. We hope he gets better soon, as we said earlier on, and we wish him a speedy recovery and wish him back as soon as possible. There is our, I do believe, lounge in calm. Again, a little debrief, just looking at the live timing screens on the board, checking people's best laps and seeing what they can do. It's just all about sort of cooling down, getting out of that cockpit, get a drink, get yourself refreshed, ready for the race coming up later on. Because that's truly going to be a fantastic battle and a fantastic race all the way till the very end. Very relaxed and very calm in these racing lounges, you know. No drivers look disappointed. You just see their look on that monitor. They're just monitoring. That looks to be the Tiziano Caponio send-it manoeuvre into the chicane. Oh, now was that car squeezed? That's what they've got to decide. That's their job. And I'd rather be up here in the commentary box than down there monitoring all the stewards' decisions that they've got to make sure they get absolutely spot on. Long discussions to be had. But they look so calm when doing it. Yeah, they look, not stressing out. They're going to make the right decision, and they're going to be as calm as they can be. Every driver then. The cockpit's empty. The driver's getting some refreshments. And we'll be getting ready to hit the cockpit later on. Okay, so let's bring you the provisional starting grid now from the knockout qualifying. Again, we'll bring you a fully classified one later on. This is just provisional. So Ruiz Oscar and Nico Farland, you can see there the times next to their name mean that they are classified. So P1 and P2 will be Ruiz Oscar and Nico Farland. From P3 down, though, is under investigation at the moment. Sven Kuss or Sinan Demirbas, P3 and 4. Row 2 will be David Seed and David Rosler. Marcus Valverde, P7 with Valentin Georgiev in 8th. Hugo Pinto 9th. Tobias Meyer in 10th. Second half of the page, Ciro Zambra down in 11th with Thomas Herzog in 12th. Julian Machas de la Rosa and Mikael Frey, P13 and 14. Fabian Meyer and Borges Arzo, 15th and 16th. 17th place for Tiziano Caponio. Tyler Klausch in P18 with P19 and 20. Joshua Hader and Astrid Vollenweider. And bringing up the rear of the grid, P21, Ondrin Kiefer and Sylvain Pruss, the man on debut, P22, bringing up the rear. That is a provisional result, and we will bring you a fully classified result when we get it at the end. Oh, right then. Knockout qualifying, job done. Festival in Munich, job done. In the shop window, job done. What more do we have in store for you this afternoon? We've got plenty more coming your way. We've got a brand new video from our Fit and Fast League coming up a little later on. And as well, if you want to enjoy our racing league here at Racing Unleashed and want to get yourselves involved, take a look at this from Mr. JWW and Fabian Vettel.
I'm looking forward to joining Racing Unleashed on the 23rd to the 25th of September for the Barcelona race weekend. I'm going to be there all weekend taking part in the Challenger League on the 24th alongside Fabian Vettel.
You want to race against me? Then qualify for the Challenger race in Barcelona.
So if you want to race against us, make sure to qualify for the Challenger League. Really looking forward to seeing everyone over the weekend. Be sure to come down, say hello, and show me your best lap times.
And we cannot wait to see them at Catalunya next month. If you would like to get involved, make sure you go to Racing Unleashed social media or website, check it out, sign up, try and qualify for the Challenger League. But let's take a look then at our brand new Fit and Fast exercise video, and make sure you take part.
This exercise is called leg raises. The exercise also works the lateral abdominal muscles. A strong torso relieves the back from blows and helps to secure the body and spine during sudden abrupt movements. In addition, you develop a nice six-pack. So, we do the exercise. Lie back on a mat, lift the legs and stretch them out long. Place the arms at the side. Bring them more in like an L, yes. And now you begin slowly to move to one side and to the other side. Don't forget to breathe. Inhale and exhale. 10 or 12 reps, and afterwards, a minute, you have a break. After 8, 9 reps, it will really burn. Yes, Zero, that's the one. We start counting when it hurts, right?
Racing Unleashed.
Yes, my friends, that's how champions train.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Green and go after being held at the line for a while.
Who is going to be king of the late breakers?
Speed up the bremses.
Michael Speedle is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink. Disaster strikes.
Unglaublich.
Wow, qué pelea.
I'm loving this. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant
This is Racing Unleashed.
Tiziano Caponio then will be going from P21 on the grid for our Challenger race, situated here in Kemptal in just outside Zurich in Switzerland. So Tiziano Caponio going from P21 on the grid. This is the confirmed grid then that we are bringing you. Michael Fry going from P20. Big thumbs up from Michael then. He goes from P20 alongside P19 Julian Machas de la Rosa. As you can see, final conversations going on just ahead of the start of the race for Julian. He goes from P19, Michael Fry in Kemptal, then going from P20 on the grid. So the grid confirmed after race control took a look at all the knockout qualifying and all the incidents and action that happened in that, and pleasingly only a couple of penalties were awarded during the course of that knockout qualifying. So we continue to work our way through the grid of drivers then that will be competing here at Brands Hatch as we reach the halfway stage in the season. So we still see Michael Fry and also Julian Machas de la Rosa in the final stages of preparation ahead of the start of the race. So P19 and P20. Felipe Gonzalez will be going from P18. Felipe Gonzalez, he's in Madrid, and Luca Keller, he goes from P17 on the grid. He's in our lounge in Calm. Good afternoon to you, Luca. What can you expect from this race on the British roller coaster, my friend?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me. To be honest, I don't really know what to expect. I will probably just, my focus is to drive my own race, not really focus on the other drivers, just drive clean, stay on the track, and yeah, hopefully like that I can gain some positions on the track.
We are counting on it. Luca Keller, we wish you the best of luck. Have a great race. He's speaking to us live from Calm. Thank you very much for your time. Luca Keller, he is going from P17 on the grid. We move through it and then we take a look at the next row, and the next row contains Marcus Valverde. Now, Marcus, in my opinion, is out of position, and therefore he's going to be one to watch going from P16. Jose Miguel in Madrid goes from P15 on the grid. So that is the 8th row of our starting grid for the Challenger race to come here at Brands Hatch. So Marcus Valverde and Jose Miguel and all Madrid line up there. One of our fit and faster competitors, and is always fit and always fast out there on the track as well, is Thomas Herzog. You said to me off the air, Thomas, qualifying, you know, you're not bothered about that because you're going to let the race do the talking for you, and a lot of overtaking you suggested.
Yes, exactly. It's pretty difficult here to race with 22 others competitors, and yeah, pretty difficult.
Well, Thomas, if anyone can do it, you can, and we wish you the best of luck for the race. So thanks very much to Thomas Herzog here in Kemptal talking to us as well. Now, he has Fabian Meyer alongside him for company. Fabian Meyer and Thomas Herzog then complete the 7th row of our grid. Tyler Klausch and Michael Farland, they go from P11 and P12 respectively. So the 6th row of the grid, Michael Farland, father of course of Nico Farland, they are going from P11 and P12. Michael Farland and Tyler Klausch, both of them in Munich. Then we find Ciro Zambra. He goes from P10. He's based in Zurich. And going from P9 in our Munich lounge is Nico Farland. And a big smile from Nico. Good afternoon to you. Best of luck here at Brands Hatch. Now, I have a bit of favouritism, Nico, because, of course, it's my track. It's in the UK. You're out there, you're on the grid, and you're on the grid with your father. What a thrill is that, Nico, to try and beat the old man?
Yeah, it's nice to drive with my father, so maybe I can learn him to get him a little bit faster for the next time. So maybe he can block some people for me in the knockout.
Yes, use him something of a blocker. That's a good strategy, Nico.
Yes.
We wish you the best of luck, Nico Farland, and in Munich.
Thank you.
And
thank you very much.
Thank you for your honesty. Really appreciate that. So Nico Farland going from P9 wants the old man to become something of a roadblock. Okay, we'll see if we can do that. P8 is David Seed, and P7 is Sinan Demurbas. Hopefully we can speak to David Seed then. He's in Madrid. David, of course, you have a commanding position at the top of the championship at the moment. And dare I say it, on the 4th row of the grid, David, all your focus is going to be on overtaking, surely.
Yes. My main objective is to obviously win the race, but maybe a podium would be nice, but I want to win, so I'm going with all I have.
We know that you're going to deliver a great race for us. David Seed then has already said to us on the air he's going for the win. He'd settle for a podium, but he's going to go for the win. Well done, David Seed. Thank you for talking to us. Sinander Murbas going from P7. And Yannick Schmidt, he goes from P6. And Yannick Pletcher, our language expert that we heard from earlier on, he goes from P5. So that is the third row of the grid. So best of luck to the two Yannicks there, Schmidt and Pletcher. Ondrin Kiefer then, who had the save of the day in the knockout qualifying, he goes from P4. Going from P3, Stefan Julmi. Stefan then, gloves on, ready, and you can see the focus. So Stefan and Ondrin are on the second row of the grid, and then we get to the sharp end of the grid, of course, the first row. Ronnie Hettinger going from P2 on the grid. He's based in our lounge in Calm. And then going from pole position, we spoke to him at the end of knockout qualifying. That's Dario Arpa. And Dario then has already explained the strategy that he had for qualifying, the knockout qualifying. Presumably, Dario, you will be applying exactly the same strategy for the race. Now, here comes some fast facts about Brands Hatch then. This extraordinary British roller coaster circuit that winds its way through the countryside for 3.9 kilometres. 4 left-handers, 5 right-handers. The start to turn 1 is a blast of 188 metres. It is Britain's best loved circuit. We absolutely adore Brands Hatch, and the drivers are really enjoying it as well. So, through Paddock Hill Bend then, where you drop off a cliff and run down. It's very easy to be pulled into the gravel trap. To Druids, which is the closest to a hairpin that we have after the uphill stretch. And then you run down towards Graham Hill Bend. All of the bends, of course, named after luminaries in the racing world. Use a little bit of the runoff area in Graham Hill. And then as we go out to the back of the circuit, because we use the full GP circuit, this is the Westfield Bend. Another downhill and uphill section before curve, which is the final turn and brings you onto the start-finish straight.
Same. Hopefully I can win, yes. That's the target of the day. Yeah. It's so challenging because it's so narrow. It's also very old school. You know, there aren't much runoff areas like other tracks of today. So yeah, I like it a lot actually.
So we heard from Dario Arpa then, and this, of course, was the conclusion of the Rocket F4 British Championship.
And out of it, it is going to be 2 victories here at the Bolton final for Monica Bolton-Ramus, as she should be our racing star. Final corner, Deegan Fairclough, and he's done it. It's 2 victories for Deegan Fairclough and 26 points apiece as well. Fastest laps in both, and he cannot believe what has just happened. That is a life-changing moment.
It was a fantastic competition. The F4 Esports competition using our simulator.